Absolutely not. Get me off this river now. No way.
Explosive first tour.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
It is, eh?
Slightly terrifying. I do not want to be on this bridge. Get me back.
Fine, Rachel. Oh yeah, because you're scared of bridges now too, right?
Yeah, I am scared of bridges.
I think we made it. We walked
Yeah,
across
thank
this
God. We did walk across this bridge, unaware of what was beneath us.
bridge. Oh my God, yeah.
You never look at a bridge the same.
Well, never the same. Honestly. Well, I think growing up, I've always been a bit like that. So I've not really been as good as expressing myself when I was younger. So it would always be through like writing songs, songwriting, putting it into melody. So in a way, it feels kind of normal, but I've always done it on a bit of a surface level. It's always been like about, I don't know, relationships or things which aren't as serious as what I've written about in the album.
Yeah.
But I think also in the past, I would write these songs, but there wasn't much personal development. So now it feels like this album's done. I feel like a completely different person to who I was 2 years ago. So it's been quite therapeutic to go through. I would say the main moment was going to Brit school. So when I went to Brit school, if I didn't get into Brit school, I wouldn't do music. I would be a criminal psychologist instead.
Wow.
So because I got into Brit school, that's the moment I was like, okay, I'm actually going to go for this full time. However, before then, I liked music a lot and I did music GCSE, but I wasn't sure. But I think getting into Brit school was my sign to pursue music. It was really, I think I was more anxious because I'm so used to British or European crowds. And I didn't know what to expect, but New York were incredible, LA was incredible, just the vibe and the energy was amazing. So yeah, it was honestly quite, I want to say life-changing, to be honest. It was a great first tour to have. I guess it's just growing up being a British kid in the early noughties, early tens, and I think there's a lot of nostalgia that comes from that, and I wanted the music to feel nostalgic. I think home for me is really nostalgic. The things I miss, which I can't really go back to, but elements of stuff that I miss like rollerblading, which I could do now, but I think when I was younger there was a sense of excitement that came from stuff like that, and the Walkmans and bike riding and stuff, and it's different from doing it when you're an adult versus back then. Whether it comes from the music, the culture, the vibe. So I think I just wanted to show all those things so people kind of look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, I remember these things growing up, or get thrown back to the past of how it was like being, you know, a British kid growing up in that time. I think it's more listening to like old music. So for example, bands now coming back, like Sugar Babes, the original Sugar Babes have come back and doing stuff, and I'm like, I remember their songs coming out and the videos coming out, and you know, the changing of band members and everyone being like, what's going on, like all of that thing happening, and Girls Aloud, I think they're doing a reunion as well, and seeing people who, when I was younger, like Spice Girls being legendary, and then they came back on tour a few years ago, and it was just seeing stuff like that of how people are still getting older, even though you look at them and think of one particular time. I think the coming back of stuff, the style, the fashion, like I wear some things and my sisters are like, we used to wear that when we were teenagers, and now I'm wearing it as an early 20s or late, when I was in my late teens, I'd dress the same. Things like Baby Fat and Juicy Couture, Von Dutch, all these things just kind of coming back around. I'm loving seeing the rebirthing of it, because I think everyone is feeling the same sense of missing that time. I think technology plays a big part in why people miss that time, because it was simpler, social media wasn't about, and now we're so, you know, technology and social media obsessed. So it feels like as a unity, everyone's missing that nostalgic time. So I had like a rough storyline-ish, and it included me and my best friend. But then when Florence messaged, my manager was like, well, why don't you just ask to see if she'll be in your video? And I was like, oh, it's a bit full on, considering she's just messaged me like one message, and now I'm like, hey, can you be in my music video? But then I just did, because I was like, well, I'm not going to lose. The worst that can happen is she says no, which is also completely fine. But then she said yes, and then she actually turned up and she did it. So it was quite mad for that to occur, but she was just really up for it. She loves the music, she's super supportive. So yeah, it's been great having her around and her helping, using her platform to share my music. I've been really grateful. I think it's to embrace what you go through, because in life, I think people always constantly work towards being happy and wanting to be happy, which is correct. But in life, no matter who you are, you're going to go through death, you're going to go through loss, you're going to go through something sad or something that will affect you. No matter how rich or poor you are, everyone will go through something, and you never know what it's going to be, whether it's to the people around you or to you. So I think it's just embracing and preparing yourself for that, but allowing yourself to feel that and not feeling ashamed that something like that has happened to you, or you feel that, because I think there's a sense of sometimes when bad things, quote unquote bad things, happen a lot to someone, it's very like, why is this happening to me? I must be the bad person, I'm attracting these things. But when really it's just life, and some people are luckier than others. So I think it's just, especially as a woman in a really tough, very, man-owned world to a degree, I think there's an element of, our femininity is as tough and as strong, and we've got ourselves, and to always keep your head grounded even in tough times, because when the tough times happen, when you hit the happy points, you feel so grateful for them. So yeah. To not faff about so much. I was always worrying. Everything is like a worry, and like before I do something, I just wind myself up so much and get so worried so much before something would happen. Then once I do it, I'm like, oh, well, I should have done that about a year ago, or I should have done that earlier. And yeah, to just, as opportunity comes, to take it. If it doesn't work or it fails, that's just redirection. It's not the end of something, and you can always keep going and keep trying. So yeah, that's my advice to my younger self.